12 months ago, I applied Lanoguard to the chassis of our 1998 motorhome. So that's what, 25, 26 years old, something like that. If you want to see that video, then I'll leave a link in the video description. I also did a video of what it was like 6 months later, so I'll put that in the video description as well for you to watch after this video. Lanoguard, unlike other products, is actually environmentally friendly. It's made from natural products, including sheep's wool and fat. You don't need to wear PPE. However, I do suggest that you wear goggles because the sprayer here, does create a mist, which you don't really want to get in your eyes. It won't sting or anything, but it's not that pleasant. You're supposed to apply it like every now and again, like every 12 to 18 months. Now, it's not one of those treat and forget products, which some people may find as a downside of Lanoguard. I've come to realise it gives me a real opportunity to poke my head up underneath the chassis and just take a look, have a gander, see what is going on. Is there any rust forming? What is the quality of it and all that kind of stuff. It gives me a reason to actually put my head underneath and have a good look around. And we started watching Car SOS. Now, this is an old show. I think it's about like 10 years old, and there's loads of episodes of it. And basically what they do is they get an old classic car and they restore it to factory level. It's amazing the stuff that they do. However, when they go to inspect it, there's always a scene where they've got the car jacked up on the hoist there, and they show you all the problems that they have underneath, where the rust and the rot is. There's always some sort of paint or something, some black rubbery thing that's trying to protect it, some undersealant under there. But of course, it's not done anything because whatever they've used just rots the metal from the other side, or it just creeps along from some gap or something. I don't know. I don't know, but it's not really helped much, is what I'm trying to say. And because it's covered up, it's black tar kind of thing, you can't see what's going on. Unlike Lanoguard, it might look brownish in the carton, but when you spray it on and it dries, it's like it's transparent, not 100% transparent. There's still some sort of brownness there, but yeah, you can definitely see what you've done, where you sprayed, and what it is, what's happening with the metal underneath. So last year I went all in. I cleaned, I scrubbed the chassis, I repaired any rusty spots, got rid of any flaking metal. It itself didn't take very long to apply at all. It's just, like I said, it's just, you just use the spray, you just mist it over. I've been under there recently doing the brake lines, that's in another video, and I've just noticed that I've missed a spot. It's kind of a hidden away part of the chassis, and I noticed that yeah, I can tell that I haven't sprayed any Lanoguard on there because it's not got that waxy feel to it. I mean, it doesn't look the same. So after I've cleaned it, jet washed it or whatever, I'm going to inspect it. I'm going to take a look round and see what might have changed, where I might have to readdress areas, and then I'm going to reapply using the grease, so on the really dodgy parts, and just to give them an extra boost of protection, and of course the spray here. Now I think what I might do is do a corner at a time, so take a wheel off, clean it all around. I found if you don't take a wheel off, you really can't get in there, and I can really sit in with the wheel and get all the arches done and whatever. My hopes are that it's going to be easier to clean. It's just going to be a matter of jet wash, maybe just a normal hose on delicate areas, because the last time I had 25 years of grime, whereas now I've only got 1 year of grime because I washed it all off last year. It's raining at the moment, and even though with the jet wash I'm going to get wet, I don't fancy doing it in the rain. If you're interested in buying some Lanoguard, then I'll leave a link in the video description where you can get a discount, and you'll be able to see how easy it is yourself. So it looks like the rain has now stopped, so let's get on with it.
You a bit wet.
Okay, I've been at it for a few hours now. Probably about 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours. It's the end of my day, and I've done I've cleaned half the chassis from the habitation door back. It's all cleaned, and it wasn't as bad. Of course, it wasn't as bad as it was last year. I did have to get the 2 brushes to agitate some of the dirt off. Not everywhere, mainly underneath the arches where, of course, the dirt and the road mud gets kicked up into the arches. Yeah, they were a bit filthy, especially the offside rear. But the rest of it has been quite clean. Right, tomorrow I am going to inspect. I'm going to let it dry overnight. I'm going to inspect it, and I will start spraying. The following day, everything was cleanish and dry, which allowed me to inspect the chassis. I did find a few places where the paint was flaking off, which I'd have to deal with later. From the looks of the outriggers, it appears that I saved them because they don't look too bad. The front didn't look too bad either. The areas around the brake lines were noticed on the MOT 2 years ago. So this is the front cross member. It goes from the left to right at the front, and the radiators sit on top of it. It is a major failure point for Fiat Ducatos. This is a replacement because the last one, well, that had more holes than a kilogram of Swiss cheese. But you can see now what I did when I got this was that I covered it in car body undersealant many years ago, and you can see it's going again. So, you know, I've heard people say, oh, car body sealant is the best. It is not, because it still goes. Look, this is what I was trying to explain about the car SOS. People cover it with some undersealant, and it still goes. After inspection, it was time to start prepping. I wanted to remove any loose paint and rust. This was done using a wire brush on a drill. In some areas I used a screwdriver to chip away the paint. Now, I wasn't expecting to do preparation like this. I can only assume that the paint has been hiding rust or moisture and it's spreading underneath the paint. I'll speed up the video here as I peel away the metal to look underneath for signs of rust. And I'm happy with what I found on all the outriggers. I'm not so happy with this area. It looks like the rust is inflating, and I think it could be a problem in the future. So I gave it a few coats of the Dimitrol rust converter. In fact, I ended up spraying most of the bare metal areas with the rust converter just as an extra aid to stop things rusting. Here's the area I missed treating last year. You can see that there's surface rust around the nuts. Moving the camera up, you can see that it looks fairly good, which is great because I wasn't able to get my eyeballs up there. Looking at the same spot on the other side doesn't look so bad. If you're enjoying this video, why don't you give it a thumbs up? We do a lot of travel vlogging in our motorhome, and so why don't you give it a subscribe if you're into that sort of thing. I think I went a bit mad this time with the Lanoguard grease because I painted it on most bare metal areas, probably a bit too much, and not forgetting the areas that I missed last year. The hole I welded up last year is still looking okay, However, the other side hasn't fared well. Houston, we have a problem. Take a look at this. Just underneath the gas locker there is a big hole. So I've been poking around and I noticed this here, which has been like this for a good few years now, seemed to inflate, seems to have got worse. So I did a bit of a strength test, put my screwdriver against it and gave it a shove, and it went straight through. So being quite close to the chassis here does mean that it is an MOT failure, I would have thought. It's quite large. I can't put my hand in. I can probably put a finger in with the risk of severing it. The only way of getting rid of this, it's not no chemical, rust remover, Lanoguard, underseal, Dimetrol or anything is going to get rid of this. The only way of getting rid of rust is to remove it, is to cut it out. So that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to cut this out, probably a few inches either side, and then replace it with a nice fresh piece of steel. But not in this video, that'll be in another video. We are now on the home straight. The spraying is the last step and the most satisfying. Carrying on the theme of going mad, I probably sprayed too much. It was dripping off in places and you really don't need so much. Watching the video footage back, I did notice that I was spraying areas that I already done. When it came to using the lance to spray the inside of the chassis, the nozzle must have been clogged because it shot across the car park, never to be seen again. So instead I used a spray nozzle from the garden watering system, which worked extremely well. Again, I probably overdid it because you can sometimes see the Lanoguard dripping from inside where the beams met. And this reminds me of something, but I can't think what. Last year it took me 5 days to complete the whole chassis. This year it took me a little less time. If you're interested in purchasing Lanoguard, then I've left a link and a discount code in the video description. If you enjoyed the video, then why not give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and goodbye.